everybody, welcome back to Real Reviews. This is Cody Williams, and we are talking about the movie Uncharted. Based on the best-selling line of adventure action puzzle games, this film in particular combines elements from all four games, which should be interesting to say the least. I've always been a huge fan of the games, however, I'm skeptical when it comes to video game movies in general. I'm not expecting too much out of this movie, but I do want to give it a chance, so let's talk about it. The movie story follows Nathan Drake and his wisecracking partner Victor Sullivan as they both embark on a dangerous quest to find the greatest treasure never found, while also tracking clues that may lead to Nate's long-lost brother. While I did go into this movie with an open mind, with little to no expectations, I kinda sorta had fun and also not being overly fascinated by it. With that in mind, this film is a mixed bag for me. There's some fun to be had with the movie's face value, but being a fan of the games will make you super critical of its many issues, which I will get to soon enough. Regardless, this film does have good-looking visuals with its cinematography, extravagant set design, and has an explosive display of over-the-top action scenes that are super fun to watch. Starting things off, the best thing about the movie itself is how it manages to capture the many elements out of all four games into one behemoth of an adventure. Was I worried beforehand about that aspect alone? Sure. Somehow, this film managed to pull it off somewhat. The new Resident Evil movie tried to do the same thing, but unfortunately, things didn't quite work out too well with that one. I kind of wish that elements from all four games were crammed into one movie so it can have a better symbiotic relationship with the games, so it can tackle one game per movie as necessary. Then again, I'd rather play the games because they are about as cinematic as a film. I wanted to like Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, but when I think of the titular character from the games, Tom Holland doesn't come to mind at all. I could also say the same for Mark Wahlberg as Sully, unfortunately. They don't look or sound like their video game counterparts, so the miscasting is my biggest turnoff from this adaptation. Both actors are great, don't get me wrong, but I just wish the studio executives put more effort into casting. Given with what they had to work with, both Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg grew on me as the movie went on. If you haven't played any of the games, or you're simply not a gamer in general, I would say that this movie is comparable to the Indiana Jones, National Treasure, and Tomb Raider movies. So if you're into archaeology and adventure, then this movie will be right up your alley. Even though most of the film is bloated with an extravaganza of green screen CGI laden action, it still kept me entertained regardless of how implausible the action scenes may be. The film script has its hits and misses, but for the most part, it was just average at best. It's nothing worth mentioning, but it could have been more finely tuned into something that could have been a whole lot better than it wound up being in the end. If you took out all of the elements from the video games, this would have been a phenomenal standalone film. Since they are there, it's hard to not go down the rabbit hole of nitpicking while comparing every little thing to the games. Like I said earlier, there's some fun to be had, but prepare to be disappointed. Overall, Uncharted is not the best video game to film adaptation. However, there are worse to be seen. What could have been potentially great, this movie suffers the same unfortunate fate as most video game films, where it just so happens to fall short of satisfaction. I don't downright hate the movie, but it definitely could have been better. More or less, this film is just a tad above average. I give this movie a C+. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel to keep up with my real reviews.